into all of the details, but essentially the end result is it's burning, it's damaging, burning, and hardening the tissues. And the tissues get very inflamed. Now, where the damage is building more, you're going to see different symptoms. Everyone's a little bit different, which where their system is breaking down first, second, third. We'll talk about that in a minute. But either way, glucose is getting stuck in the blood, causing glycation damage all over the body, and it starts causing problems. You glycate your blood vessels enough, hypertension, neuropathy, erectile dysfunction. You glycate your kidney tissues enough, that's CKD, right? You're having substrates leak into your urine. You're starting to have low eGFR or low GFR. That's the glycation damage, right? It's the tissue damage building across the body, right? So we don't want that to happen. And then we also have insulin rising. When glucose lingers in the blood, insulin starts to go up. And the reason is because your body sees all this damage building and your body's going, hey, we don't want this happening. Glucose is it's actually one of the most toxic things to have in your blood is glucose. It's so good for you. It's your energy source. But when it lingers, it is very toxic. And so your body understands how dangerous this is. And what your body does is it goes, okay, we cannot have glucose lingering. We have to do whatever we can to get it out of the blood and to keep the body safe. We want to survive and live for as long as possible. So your body, built to be a survival machine, what does it do? Your body signals your pancreas to produce more insulin. It's making insulin stronger and stronger and stronger in the blood. Now, why is it doing that? Like I taught you, insulin is the key. All right. Insulin is actually what grabs the glucose and shoves it into cells. So by increasing insulin, making insulin stronger and stronger and stronger, all of this insulin is going to these sick cells and is just pounding on those cells, binding and binding and binding to all the insulin. Here's your cell. There's many receptors for insulin, and they're just pounding on all of the receptors, forcing the cell to open and take the glucose to clear the blood. So you're not diabetic. Some of you are diabetic, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But a lot of you guys aren't diabetic. And the reason is because insulin is actually controlling the glucose damage. It's slowing it down. It's still happening. You are still getting glucose damage, whether you're diabetic or not. If you're diabetic, you passed a certain threshold where now you have so much glucose in your tissues, in your cells. Your cells are full of glucose, and now it's even more. And also the liver and the pancreas have burned out, and now glucose is sticking in the blood. And you can see the rise of, you can see the evidence of the glucose. That takes about 5 to 20 years to get to that level. Everybody else isn't there yet, but you still have glycation damage. All right, we'll come back to diabetes in a little bit. So that is the condition. I'm going to come to the comments in a second. I want to just wrap up what this means. Actually, let me do questions first quickly, really briefly. Then I'm going to go into conditions, symptoms, how you know that you have this. Okay, sorry, my mom messaged me. My mom's a senior, so whenever she messages, I always got to read it, but she's fine, just talking about going gardening. All right, so anyways, let me answer some questions really quickly. And I think we don't purify our levels enough. We overload too much every day. Yes, we do. And a lot of it's not our fault, right? We're not in control of our food supply, right? We're not in control of our food supply. The food companies are. And 70% of the food consumed worldwide, even things that are marketed as healthy and friendly for, low carb, for example. If you look at the ingredient list, they actually, when you take out carbs, you take out wheat, for example, what do the food companies do? They have to put other things into it to replace the carbs. What are they using? Tapioca starch, potato starch. Go look at your healthy boxes. Those starches actually spike your glucose even more than the wheat. You're actually less healthy having the healthy versions than you would have having the natural version. That's the food company. So we try our best to be healthy, but a lot of it is outside of our control. And a lot of this marketing in the food industry really makes it hard for us to do the right thing. And it's not our fault, right? But there are things we can do, and I'll help you with all that as well. All right, so let's go a little bit deeper. Yeah, there's actually a lot of connection there. So when it comes to type ways of eating, I'll go into that a little bit later. All right, but what I'm going to say is we're an omnivorous species. All right, so Jeremiah, for that certain things I don't want to vocalize because I want to respect the policies of the app, and so but basically what I can say is that we are an omnivorous species, right? We evolved for 300,000 years being an omnivorous species. Our bodies evolved being omnivorous. All these species that we evolved from are also all omnivorous. All right, so our body is built with receptors and tissues that respond really effectively to both sources of meat and also plants, not just only one and not just only the other. All right, and if you look at studies on people who do the extremes, look at their health long-term, infertility. What more evidence do you need that a certain way of eating is not good for us if it would make the species infertile and it would cause the ceasing of that species? All right, that's really big evidence. Now, some people can do those and they can actually fare quite well, but the vast majority of people, actually long term have a lot of consequences to them. And a lot of people don't even know, because unless you go get your sperm tested, who's getting their sperm tested? Right? So you don't actually see that your sperm are actually becoming dysfunctional. You don't see it unless you go get that studied while you're doing that for a long period of time, right? So a lot of people don't realize that those are the consequences that they're actually going through. Anyways, everyone can do as they wish. I will give you advice on food at the end in terms of the recommendations and stuff like that. So we'll get into that near the end. Let's go a little bit deeper into how you even know, because again, all the solutions I'm going to do all at once for you guys. All right. And I'll give a lot of food advice. But let's go into how you know you have this. A lot of people are watching me and they don't know if they have this. They don't know if their husband has this, if their wife has it, if their parents have this, their children. So let's talk about that. Let's go into the symptoms and also the conditions. But what we're going to do, thank you so much on Motorbike, I really appreciate it. What you're going to do is we're going to keep in our minds these 4 factors, okay? So as you guys learned in depth, in detail, you now understand where each of these 4 factors came from. You know exactly where the free radicals are coming from and why. You know exactly why there's chronic low-grade inflammation spreading through your tissues. All of your cells are becoming inflamed and damaged, and it's spreading, right? Muscle tissues, heart tissues, blood vessel tissues, even your brain, even the brain cells. Now you know exactly why. And also the glucose problem and the insulin problem, right? These factors are the 4 factors that give rise to the disease, all right? So the tree is the disease growing in the body and spreading. As those 4 factors spread, you can't really see them, right? You don't see free radicals, they're microscopic, right? But as the damage is actually grabbing hold of different organs, as it grabs on to different metabolic tissues, you will see certain symptoms develop based on what that cell type did. If it grabs onto your blood vessels, those are your endothelial cells. Your endothelial cells are for your blood pressure. They're for moving your blood flow, right? So all these types of blood flow and vascular related issues like neuropathy, erectile dysfunction, hypertension show up for that person. Other people get into their testes, gets into their ovaries, reproductive issues, sex hormones get disrupted, right? So it depends on your biochemistry, but just remember that these are spreading, and that damage spreads, it's going to begin to look different based on where in the body it spreads to. These are the most common outcomes of insulin resistance, but they're not the only ones. All right. They're not the only ones. What we're going to do is I'm going to explain a lot of them to help you guys connect the dots. Because a lot of you guys have a number of things on this board, and it can feel like your body is falling apart in 10 different ways. And by the time I'm done going through all of this, you're going to see that your body isn't falling apart in 10 different ways. Your body is falling apart in really one way, but that one thing is spreading. Right? Even people who have autoimmune, they're looking at metabolic and autoimmune, like they're different. They're actually completely connected, right? They're linked inextricably. That's why so many people who have autoimmune have metabolic challenges at the same time, right? So even gut issues, right? That is still metabolic. Your cells are metabolic cells, or your gut cells, are cells that get insulin resistance. And it just proliferates gut issues, IBS, colitis, diverticulitis, SIBO. Insulin resistance drives all of it, sets the stage, and your gut starts getting gut issues, and that also triggers more autoimmune. So you can see how things are really linked together, right? When we talk about these, the reason why I teach the root pillars, those root pillars are the same. Hashimoto's, go look up Hashimoto's, the same root pillars, right? But it's showing up differently in your body, right? Anyways, let's get into this. So eating rice helped. So stopped eating, I thought you said started eating rice. And I was like, how is that possible? She started eating rice and it balanced out her blood sugar. Okay. She stopped eating rice. Exactly. So by stopping eating rice is a very glucose spiking item, right? So your grandma, I think it's GMA is grandma, right? A GMA, sorry. That's going to spike her glucose really every single time, which is going to spike her insulin. The more insulin spikes, it forces glucose down into a crash, and it makes this big roller coaster, and you're causing glycation damage over and over again. So by cutting out the rice, you stabilize the glucose curve, right? Which means stabilizing insulin, 2 of the biggest pillars of the 4, right? You have to stabilize those 2, and you really begin to calm down the system. You begin to digress the glycation damage, right? Tissues can breathe finally. That's why you saw that happen there, right? Okay, let's go a little bit deeper. Let's talk about these things. Now, the symptoms begin all over the body. The skin is a really easy one to start with. So skin tags and skin darkening, for example, because the skin is your skin cells, right? They're fed by your blood. Well, your blood is now becoming toxic with too much insulin, unstable insulin, and unstable glucose. The glucose is causing glycation damage, burning, hardening of the tissues, inflaming your tissues. And so you can start getting a lot of inflammatory conditions. You can start getting age spots. You can get even deep wrinkles, advanced aging, right? And even like the brown spots as the skin gets damaged, right? The internal internal tissues get damaged, but for some people, they see it a lot with their biochemistry on the outside of the body, and you'll see skin issues. Other issues are skin tags and skin darkening, and why you get those is because of the insulin. Insulin is a growth hormone, okay? It's a storage hormone. And so when you have too much insulin in your blood, you have too much growth hormone. It causes an overstimulation of tissues in the body, right? It thickens and hardens your blood vessels because insulin bounces off your blood vessels and thickens them, making it hard and rigid, and you get hypertension. But it also it actually causes overgrowth on the outside of the skin. You get skin tags. Anywhere on the body, skin tags. It's actually one of the most significant symptoms and indicators of high insulin is if you have skin tags. Even one is relevant, all right? The skin darkening. If you have darkening, you have dark circles under the eyes, or you have darkening at the back of the neck, you have pigmentation, darkening under the arms or the groin, that is because insulin is overstimulating the pigment cells in your skin, and it's darkening the skin. It's actually one of the other really big symptoms, all right? And then we have hair loss. You have early graying of hair as hair follicles get damaged, and even the pigment cells in the hair get damaged. Brain fog and fatigue are actually the exact same. All right. If you're getting brain fog, difficulty concentrating, if you guys are getting lack of focus, having a hard time even remembering things or recalling, just getting slower. You're at work and you're slower, for example, telling a story and you forget some of the details. You're just slower recently. All right. That's actually the same thing as chronic fatigue showing up differently. What's happening through your body is your body is losing energy. Remember, a big piece. Okay, you have a lot of tiny skin tags. Okay, so is it Claudia? Is that your handle? Yeah, Claudia, you're in such a good place. You're going to learn so much in this live. So sit tight. You're going to listen and learn. And I come live all the time, so you don't got to memorize anything. I'll do this over and over again, but you're going to learn a whole ton, okay? You're in a great location here. So where was I? Energy. Yes, your body is losing energy. Remember, your cells are no longer opening. They're no longer absorbing glucose. The mitochondria are becoming sick and damaged. This cell, a cell that looks like this, is not burning glucose properly. That means it's making inefficient ATP. Your cells are losing energy. It's the life source of your body, the energy source. All right. So this cell, low energy, can't function properly. Doesn't have the fuel to do its job. It's kind of like trying to get in your car and drive. If you don't put gas in the engine, your car won't go anywhere. So now your brain cells are losing energy. When your brain cells start losing energy, your brain cells can't go anywhere. They're not able to do their job properly, so cognition starts to get impaired. And why you begin to feel, some people feel that one pretty obviously, is because the brain's a very visceral organ. You feel cognition. You think to yourself all day long. You can notice cognition changes. You can notice brain fog. So a lot of people begin to see that one earlier than other symptoms. And in the same way, chronic low energy will begin because your body's losing energy, right? Sleep and caffeine cannot replace ATP production. So you're having all these naps, you're having all these coffees and energy drinks and Starbucks coffees, and you seem to never be able to get motivation properly. You're always just kind of wiped out, right? Your body has lost ATP production. Ro's back in my life. Good to see you. All right. And I love this. I'm learning about the endocrine system. Yep. Beautiful. I'm assuming university, Bio 202 as a university classification. Usually I find. So congrats. That's awesome. And yes, yeah, PMOS, PCOS, PMOS has been renamed a metabolic disease, right? It's coming from this. But here, I have to rename it on here. It's actually PMOS now. Anyway, so let's go a little bit deeper. The dark spots or the light age spots. You mean dark age spots? Usually they're dark. I guess some people would get light ones too, though. But the wrongful pigmentation, right? It's the pigmentation issue that starts to happen. Okay, the menopause part. No, pumpkin spice, welcome back to my live. Why is your comment hidden? Let me unhide this for you. Why is your comment being hidden from everybody? Did you miss? There we go. Now everybody can see pumpkin spice. All right, so you did not miss menopause. I will come back to menopause for you. There is a big connection between menopause and insulin resistance. Where was I though, guys? Oh, yeah, so chronic low energy, chronic fatigue, and it shows up in the brain as well. Other organs are also getting weak though. You just can't feel it. Your liver cells get weak. Your muscle cells get weak. You don't feel them as viscerally, but the cells are weakening, okay, all over the body. And that shows up as chronic low energy. Headaches and migraines, even anxiety, depression, nervousness and anxiety feeling, even that like panic-like symptoms. When your brain loses energy, it spikes cortisol, it spikes adrenaline, and you spike adrenaline, you get shaky and nervous. So a lot of anxiety will begin to start as well for some people. Now let's talk about weight and cravings and belly fat, all right? So when it comes to how doctors never once question my diet, they're taught medication. They're there for a very specific reason. It's very important to have doctors are amazing. They're important. We need them, but they're taught very differently. They're not healers. Doctors are not healers. Doctors are doctors, right? They're there for a very specific reason, and diet is not taught in med school. I think they only get 8 hours of nutrition training their entire med school career. And other doctors I work with have 0. They never once heard nutrition talked about even one time in med school. It depends on the doctor, but usually it's 0 to about 8 hours. Not their fault. That's the curriculum. It's a systematic issue. Anyways, but we still need them. They have a really important work to do, right? Anyways, let's get into weight gain, belly fat, and cravings. Now, some of you guys, weight gain does not happen to everybody. Neither does belly fat, and neither does cravings. But a lot of people do experience them. They're some of the bigger symptoms, all right? And I'm going to explain why you don't gain weight and why you do gain weight. Because again, some people get confused. Like, I can't be insulin resistant because I'm a really healthy size. Incorrect. It just means that certain organs in your body got sicker first before, if your fat cells shut down first and other organs are getting sicker faster. So you didn't have time to gain weight before you became insulin resistant. There's a progression here, and everyone's biochemistry is a little bit different. That's why you can be very thin, very fit, right? And still have full blown insulin resistance. And I'm going to explain that to you guys. All right. Here. Let's go a little bit deeper. Let's go back to this side to understand the weight aspect. And weight gain and belly fat are not the same. If you are gaining belly fat and not weight, it's different versus the other, okay? If you have both, it's two different problems happening together, all right? So the first one is going to be weight gain. So weight gain is going to start because of 2 factors, okay? Your mitochondria, they are supposed to be burning glucose, right? But the mitochondria are sick. That's the heart of the cell that is supposed to be burning. But those mitochondria are no longer burning. They don't burn glucose anymore, but they actually also burn body fat. And they struggle. If in your body, your mitochondria can no longer burn body fat either, well, now fat substrates can't get out of your body. If you ever wonder yourself, like, how does my body burn? Like, where is my body burning fat? When I go to the gym, when I eat healthy, where on my body is fat being burned out? It's in your cells. These little dudes right here, you have thousands of mitochondria in every single cell. All right. And they burn glucose and body fat. If yours are not able to burn body fat anymore because they become too damaged, well, now you can't burn body fat. Think of 2 people going to the gym. This is the mechanical, there's also hormonal breakdown, but this is the mechanical side of the obesity paradigm, okay? Think of 2 people going to the gym. One person is insulin resistant, and so they have a lot of cell damage. Their cells are actually, some of them pass away, a lot of mitochondria pass away, so they're losing mitochondria, and the ones that are left are dysfunctional, so they're having a hard time burning body fat. Now compare that person to another person going to the gym, and they have fully functioning cells, they're not insulin resistant, and the mitochondria are healthy, and they're firing, and they're active. They will burn very different amounts of fat, even if they're doing the exact same workout, even if they're eating the exact same diet. They will not burn the same because one of them has broken mitochondria and one of them does not. See, the fat burners are there versus not there. You see the difference? There's a mechanical breakdown that happens. And the other factor is insulin. Insulin is starting to actually get higher in the bloodstream. And some people see chronically elevated insulin all day long. It never comes down. Others will see it wibble and wobble still. It might come down sometimes and activate some fat burning, but it keeps getting pushed up for too long each day. So they're having a hard time having insulin come down long enough to really activate sufficient fat burning throughout the day. And what happens there is insulin is a storage hormone. Insulin tells the body to store. It tells the body to save body fat. It actually stops fat burning when it's elevated. And so if you're struggling to get insulin to come back down to normal, right? That's insulin. Remember the fourth pillar, insulin, high insulin, right? It's getting unstable. It's coming up too high too often, right? So now too often your body's being told, don't burn body fat. Even if you're working out, I don't care. Don't burn. I don't care if you're eating healthy. I don't care. Insulin's high. You cannot burn. Insulin will shut down fat burning when it comes up. Right? So a lot of people are seeing a mechanical breakdown and a hormonal disruption that starts to cause the body to have a really easy time packing on food and packing on weight despite doing everything right, because their body is going through a lot of kind of disruption when it comes to the fat burning area. Now, not everybody gains body fat. Like I mentioned, if your body, how do I describe this? It's kind of complicated. It's also a little bit genetic. So it depends on how many fat cells you're born with, which is stabilized by the age of 2. So by the age of 2, your fat cells are solidified. They shouldn't change unless you're on medication and that stuff overrides your biology and really does weird stuff and it can create new fat cells. That's extreme, right? But a lot of you guys are actually using those drugs. And so, you guys are doing it, a lot of you guys. Either way, they should be stabilized, that number. And then by the age of 2. And that also dictates how much fat you can store in your adipose tissue. At the same time, people, sometimes depending on how the condition is progressing, progressing, it's complicated, but as the condition progresses, your fat cells in different people will actually become insulin resistant sooner versus others. And when that happens, you might actually get to a place where your cells, your adipose tissues, right, the fat cells will become insulin resistant quick and really early in the journey and stop growing. And that means your body starts storing fat. Instead of in the adipose tissue, your fat's being stored in your muscles. Your fat's being stored in your organs, your liver. All right. It's getting ectopic instead. So you stay skinny, but you're equally as sick. You have two people, completely different sizes, because one is storing all the extra fat in their adipose tissue, and those are growing, and other ones, genetically predisposed and a couple other factors as well, will cause them to actually build that fat in the liver and in the muscles instead. Your muscles are massive, by the way. Your muscles in your liver hold a lot. Right? So you can actually be super skinny, but have the exact same. You can both be pre-diabetic, both be type 2 diabetic. You can both have a heart attack, both have high blood pressure, both have erectile dysfunction, both have hypothyroidism or a CKD, but you're totally different sizes. All right. It's not the same for everybody, the weight gain piece. All right. This condition does get a little bit complicated, but either way. So you could be a healthy size and be insulin resistant, or you might have a fat mass on you and be insulin resistant. It goes both ways. Now, belly fat is different and distinct, okay? Entirely. So pause everything I just said to you before, different conversation. Now we're talking about belly fat. It is not the same. Belly fat is a metabolically active, toxic type of fat. It is not the same as squishy fat, okay? It's in the mid region. And a lot of you don't even know you have it because it's inside the torso. You don't see it for a long time, right? It's in the organs. It's actually surrounding, it's attaching to your heart, for example. It's different. Now, where this visceral belly fat comes from is because of the glucose. When your cells become insulin resistant, glucose stays in the blood. As you guys learned, insulin, as I taught you guys, insulin is now working overtime. It's getting higher and higher, and it's taking all this glucose. Insulin is pretty much doing an emergency response. Any time glucose lingers in your blood, your body considers it an emergency, like a straight up emergency. It's so toxic to even your eyes. It causes damage to your eyes, causing blindness. It causes brain damage. It causes kidney damage. If it gets too high, you'll go into a coma. That's how damaging it is. Your body will do whatever it can to keep this controlled. Even when it goes up a little bit, insulin starts to go up. It's the emergency response. It's the first emergency response. And insulin is very powerful and very effective to keep glucose controlled, every day being controlled, getting rid of the glucose, shoving the glucose in tissues and organs it's not supposed to be in, to keep the blood clear, to prevent diabetes, and to slow down the damage that's happening because of the glucose lingering. However, there comes a time when insulin can't do it by itself anymore. Insulin is a heavy hitter, but it needs support sometimes. So when your body starts seeing that your insulin is not powerful enough by itself to handle the glucose, your body goes, hey, we need some support over here. And it taps in your liver. Your liver gets tapped in. Your liver comes in. It's a very powerful organ, all right? And it's able to actually begin to absorb the glucose. Your liver, think of it like it's self-sacrificing, all right? Your liver is seeing damage building all over your body to your blood vessels, your kidneys being glycated by this glucose. And your liver goes, no problem. I'm going to have to help everybody. And so your liver starts absorbing this glucose into itself. And it's actually getting damaged by doing this. Now, how does your liver absorb glucose? It's not magic. Nothing in the body is magical, right? The liver can't just take the glucose and make it disappear like a magician. It's not magical. Everything's a process. Liver takes the glucose, converts it into fat to get rid of it. It turns it into other forms to get it out of glucose form. It converts it into fat. And where does it put it? It starts by putting it inside the liver. Many, many, many years of your liver packing in the fat into the organ, ectopic fat, right? It's getting inside the organ. It can take 5 to 10 years, and eventually fatty liver will show up in the scan because the liver gets so full of fat. Now, as the liver is getting full, though, it doesn't like it. The liver is getting highly inflamed, highly damaged. You're losing liver cells from all the damage. They're converting into fat cells. It's actually dysfunction in the liver over time. It's not healthy. So the liver starts going, okay, I need to put some of this fat somewhere else. And the liver starts packing the fat in your midsection. So there's the belly fat. It's coming from your liver right here. Now, your liver's right here. All your other organs are surrounding it. So when it's pushing the fat out of the liver, where is it going to go? It's going to attach to your intestines. It's going to attach to your kidneys. It attach to your heart. It actually comes up the fat and surrounds your heart. In surgeries, we cut people open. You see all the visceral fat around their heart. All right. You see it all over their organs. You have to work through all the visceral fat. Look up photos if you want online. You can see the caking of fat around the heart and around the organs. That's what it looks like on the inside. But you don't see it for a long time. You can actually be very skinny. Put someone into a body scan, and in the first years of this happening, the first 5, even 10 years sometimes, It's all being packed on the inside in the torso. You can scan their torso and they'll have no fat on the outside, but their torso will light up like a Christmas tree on the inside full of visceral fat. And then eventually it begins to come out and you see the belly fat build, okay? That belly fat is metabolically active, toxic. It's killing cells in the midsection. Cells are dying. They're passing away. Very toxic. Leaves grease behind. Body goes in, clears out the grease, puts it into your portal vein to get rid of it, to clean it out of the abdomen space. Where does that portal vein go? Directly to your liver. Why your liver? Why is your liver being hit by this direct channel of this cleaning out? Because your liver is a detox organ. It detoxes your body. So it is the organ that has to deal with not only the glucose damage and the insulin damage, all the inflammation coming out of the liver. As liver cells are changing into fat cells, metabolic function of liver is declining, plus the visceral fat is hurting it, plus on the outside of the liver, and all the dying cells, all that grease goes back. Your liver is getting hit in like 10 different ways when you're insulin resistant. It's a powerful organ though. It can go like 10 years and show no symptoms. It's a powerful organ. Now, as your liver is progressing and maybe some belly fat, if you have belly fat, you need to think about your liver. Like there's like 100%, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. If you're listening to me being like, I bet my liver's fine, I'm okay. No, you need to look at your liver, all right? It's very important. Now, some of you are also seeing cholesterol and triglycerides go up. So let's go into some blood pressure, some cholesterol, some triglycerides. Let's go into some even heart attack and stroke. All right, I'm going to talk about a couple more of these and then we're going to move on into solutions. All right, how to fix all of this. This is all fixable. Now, some people are seeing triglycerides go up. Why? Is because when the liver is getting stressed out, what it will start to do is it can actually start to mobilize the fat out of the midsection. All right, it wants to get the glucose out of the space. So what it's doing, it's actually taking the glucose, it's actually converting it into lipids instead. The fat is all being converted into lipids. VLDL, for example, it's a transporter cell. VLDL starts getting sent out, and what does it do? It drops off triglycerides. So triglycerides around the body are increasing. So triglyceride numbers start going up. All right. It's just another outcome of the fatty liver building. Others see cholesterol get high because as insulin gets unstable, insulin makes the liver produce more cholesterol. So you could see high bad cholesterol and high triglycerides, or one or the other. HDL also tends to go down. So if you're seeing lipid challenges, it just comes back down to the liver again. All right. So if these are showing up, it's your liver. Leading cause worldwide, insulin resistance. All right. All right. And yes, exactly. So Mary, if you get rid of the insulin, the glucose challenges, you get rid of the free radicals and chronic low-grade inflammation, your body will go right back to the way it was. This is actually a 100% reversible condition. All right. So with that being said, if anybody type 2 diabetic, if nobody's type 2 diabetic, nobody's pre-diabetic, nobody's having blood sugar issues, I will skip diabetes for today. If nobody has high blood pressure, I'm also going to skip high blood pressure for today. If nobody has kidney disease, heart attack, and stroke, so I can skip a lot of things if nobody has them. And actually the menopause. So someone did ask about menopause. Pumpkin Spice asked about menopause. So I will talk about that briefly right now. And then maybe I'll do, if anyone else has type 2, I'll talk about it. If I'm the only one person, I might not. So I'll see how the audience is today. So for menopause, a lot of females will notice that when they are going into perimenopause, suddenly their health got a lot worse, a lot quicker, right? And the reason is because when you guys go into, so a lot of pre-diabetics, we have type 2s. Okay. I will cover blood sugar then. Only one CKD and one blood pressure, but I think I'll still do it for you guys. Okay, so menopause, really briefly. So if you're a female and you noticed your health get a lot worse, a lot quicker as you went into perimenopause, what happens there is your cells are becoming insulin resistant naturally in menopause. And the reason is because so we have borderline diabetic as well, we have CKD. So we actually have a lot here going on. Who is not being respectful? I saw that comment come through. My mod probably got him. I probably didn't even see it. That's okay. All right. Where was I? Okay. Let's get into this. When we go into, when you start going through perimenopause, you're losing estrogen. All right. When estrogen starts to go down, your cell receptors, go to this side of the board really briefly, your cell receptors are actually using these right here. They need estrogen. They actually use estrogen to respond to insulin. So in perimenopause, you naturally lose estrogen. So these receptors begin to struggle to respond to insulin. So the cell becomes more insulin resistant naturally, all right, in menopause. And you can't control that. That's natural. The body is meant to go through it. All right. The issue is that so many females today are already insulin resistant before they go into menopause. So if you're already insulin resistant, they're already struggling, these cells, or they're already struggling. And then menopause comes in And menopause makes the cells more insulin resistant. It speeds up the damage. It speeds up the condition. And now she has menopause and she has a more advanced level of insulin resistance. So the body is struggling in two different ways. What we have to do is menopause can't be reversed. Menopause is a natural thing. We all have to go through it. And it's actually not meant to be that difficult. The weight gain is coming from the insulin. A lot of the symptoms are actually because of the insulin resistance piece of the condition, and it's being amplified if there was existing insulin resistance before the perimenopause began. What you're going to do is you're going to get rid of the insulin resistance, and menopause becomes so much easier. Weight goes back to normal, symptoms really digress, even hot flashes start to calm down. Like you're still going to go through menopause, but it won't be like a level 100. It's going to come all the way back down again because you're disentangling and you're getting rid of the aggressor of a lot of the symptoms. So that's how those two conflate together. Now, a lot of you guys, thank you guys for your responses. So blood pressure, pre-diabetes, type 2, and kidneys all came back. So I'm going to skip all the rest. But those three came back in a lot of comments. So let's go into those guys. All right. So pumpkin spice, that was you. All right. All right. There we go. Let's go into, Beautiful, Kyle, A1C 5.2 on our program. Congratulations, Kyle. You should be very proud of that. Every single point decrease, Kyle, in A1C, so 5.2 to 5.1 or 6.4 to 6.3, that point decrease is a substantial reduction in blood stickiness of the glycation damage. So you substantially reduce your glycation damage every time you, some of my clients will say, I only decreased a little point this time. I'm like, that is substantial. Your heart is loving it. Your blood vessels are loving it. You might want to see faster change, which, we can do, but that little point decrease, huge. Don't be discouraged by that. If you ever do see a small decrease, it is substantial. What was I going to do? Oh, we're doing type 2 diabetes. Okay, so for type 2 diabetes, where am I going with this board? Yeah, this way. For type 2 diabetes, what's happening here is this. Sorry for the ring. I have my ring light on. So we'll take type 2, we'll do last. Let's do kidneys first and blood pressure. We'll do blood pressure. Okay, blood pressure and kidneys are going to go together. So when it comes to high blood pressure, it's the blood that's causing the damage, all right? So your cells start becoming insulin resistant. So your muscle cells, your liver cells, fat cells, brain cells, even heart cells start becoming insulin resistant. Those are the 5 types that get sick first. And though that's trillions of cells. Like, don't underestimate it. You think, 5 times. No. That's trillions of trillions of trillions of trillions of cells right there that are sick, right from those 5. You have 40 trillion cells. That makes up a lot of them, all right? So your body's pretty much completely insulin resistant at that stage. And so what ends up happening, as you guys learn, is more and more cells get sick, more and more glucose and insulin is getting stuck in the blood. So what begins to happen is, what's carrying your blood? Your blood vessels. Your blood vessels are one of the primary targets of damage because in the blood vessel is all the insulin and all the glucose 24/7, right? And so you have glycation damage happening to your vessels every day. And again, the vessels are delivering that damage all over the place. It's going through your kidneys, your liver, your muscles are getting hit. So the body's getting damaged all over the place, but the vessels are carrying all the blood. So for most people, hypertension does show up. Vascular related issues do show up. And vascular issues is not just hypertension, it's neuropathy, right? That the vessel damage also causes neuropathy, erectile dysfunction, circulation issues, all different kinds of problems are happening when your vessels are compromised. They have lots of different jobs, your vessels. And so what ends up happening is the glucose is glycating the tissues in the blood vessel. They're getting glycated, which is burned, hardened, stiffened, right? They're getting inflamed, even tearing open. There's all the glucose is creating these microscopic tears and rips as the glucose hits it punctures it. So it actually does microscopic tearing of your tissues. So the vessels are getting very damaged and they're getting very inflamed. Now, where you start to see the hypertension in particular is because not only are the vessels getting damaged, they're getting thickened. The insulin is actually a growth hormone. Too much insulin, it's causing overgrowth of tissues and your vessels are a primary target. So instead of your vessels being really thin, like a thin band, really easy to open up, your heart can easily stretch open this band, right? And move the blood and no hypertension. Nice, good relaxation of the vessels and dilation, and you can have some great, blood pressure control. But as the vessels get damaged, stiffened, hardened, and they're overgrowing, they're getting thick, a thick elastic band is much harder to open. This is as much as I can open this. That's as much as I can do. That's me trying as hard as I can. This becomes your blood vessels. Now, people start getting hypertension when the next stage also happens. What ends up happening is the higher insulin gets, it's overgrowing the tissues. It also begins to activate aldosterone. So insulin begins to affect aldosterone. Aldosterone is another hormone. It tells the kidneys when it's dysfunction, it starts to missignal to the kidney to retain sodium. So the kidneys are going, sure, I'll hold sodium. And the kidney's finding any sodium that it can, and it's holding it. Now, when you put salt into the blood, you can't just let salt build and let it go crazy. Your body has to balance out the salt in the blood with water. So as much salt is coming in, water starts coming in to balance it out. So now you're putting water to thicker, you're increasing blood volume in constricted tubes. And that increases pressure, and there's your hypertension. So if you have hypertension, you have damaged blood vessels and you have pressure building, all right? You have a fluid buildup as well happen. There's your hypertension. Others don't get hypertension and they're getting neuropathy or erectile dysfunction because when they're constricted, even without hypertension, all right, they can't move the blood properly. Blood is struggling to flow. So you can get cold hands and feet can happen. And other types of issues, but commonly you get ED in men, right? So over half of 52% of men, 52% of men over the age of 40. So over half of men over the age of 40 have ED. So, and you look around, you see older men, half of the men you're looking at have ED. And no one wants to talk about it because they don't want to admit it, but it's fixable. If we talk about it, you can learn how to fix it. All you got to do is fix the vascular system. The leading cause of that vascular damage is this. This is the leading cause worldwide of ED. This is it. All right. You fix your vascular system, the blood will move again. All right. You need a lot of blood to move to the male organ. And if those vessels can't do it and can't hold it in that direction to make the magic happen, you're going to have ED, but it can get fixed. And then neuropathy is because the vessels can't move the blood to your nerves properly. The extremities are the hardest place to move your blood. And so you have all these nerves all over the body, right? You have nerves everywhere. But when the nerves in the extremities can't get oxygen and nutrients from your blood flow because the blood isn't getting there sufficiently anymore, they misfire. The nerves are very sensitive to losing blood flow, oxygen, nutrients. They begin to misfire, they get inflamed, they get free radical damage, and that's nerve damage. And this nerve damage is reversible. If your neuropathy is because of insulin resistance, it's actually 100% reversible. All right. It actually goes by pretty fast. All of my clients with neuropathy, usually by the 3rd or 4th month of me working with them, it's all gone. Like it's completely gone. Usually by month 2, it begins. And by month 3 or 4, it's completely gone. They can move their toes again. Like they're able to walk properly again. They can sleep properly. No more pain and burning and tingling, waking them up. All right. Neuropathy is actually just like everything else on this board is fixable. All right. How do we reverse? Let me finish. I'm going to answer a couple other questions that people asked, and then I'm going to go into solutions. So the other one, and by the way, a lot of you guys are watching me being like, I don't know, Dana, my doctor told me that my kidney disease was caused by my high blood pressure or my whatever, that my blood pressure caused kidney disease. I also want to confirm that piece for you guys. So kidney disease often comes with high blood pressure. This is true. And also with diabetes. This is really true. But let's talk about the kidneys for a second. Your kidneys are made of, for those who had CKD that asked for this, I'm going to answer this for you now, okay? You guys have these 2 kidneys in your body, and they're made of very soft, delicate tissues, or very delicate tissues. They're like paper, less than paper thin, because they're filtering your blood. There's just so many blood vessels, and there's nephrons. The kidney cells are making up also your nephrons, all right? Which are the filters in your kidney that filter all the blood. Now, those tissues are extremely delicate, but what did I teach you? Your blood is toxic. Your blood has unstable glucose, or if you're diabetic, way too much glucose, and you have unstable insulin. And that is causing glycation damage. It's causing insulin and glucose damage. And so when that's flowing through your kidneys every single day, every day for decades, so this is usually, insulin resistance usually begins, and it can take between 5 and 20 years to get any of these to show up. So for how many years has your kidneys been holding tight and withstanding this damage? Eventually it can't do it no more, and the tissues begin to break down. That's when you begin to see your GFR or your estimated GFR, your eGFR start to go down. So filtration is stopping or it's declining. And that's even the nephrons that make the filters are getting glycated. They're being burned. You're burning your nephrons. You're burning your filters. They can't filter GFR. If you're at the stage where you have things leaking into your urine, you have microscopic blood particles are showing up in your urine sample, or protein is showing up in your urine, all right, that means your kidneys are ripping open. The tissues are so delicate that you keep ripping and ripping and ripping, they just rip right open, right? And now the kidneys are leaking. Now that heals. When you get rid of insulin resistance, it goes right back together. You heal the kidney cells make up your kidneys, and boom, they come back together. You heal the blood vessel cells, the endothelial cells, the tissues will go and relax again and begin to make nitric oxide again and dilate again. Like these things all return to normal. Just put the tissues back to healthy order, and the tissues know what to do. Your body knows what to do, right? Anyways, and by the way, a lot of you are being told that your blood pressure caused kidney disease. You're being told your diabetes, your high blood sugar is the cause of your kidney disease. Well, what causes high blood pressure? Where'd that come from? Still insulin resistance. You have to go back another level, all right? And if you're being told it was your type 2 diabetes, well, what causes type 2 diabetes? The only cause of that is insulin. There's no other cause. It's literally biologically impossible to be diabetic and not be insulin resistant first. You have to be insulin resistant first, and then diabetes happens a long way after, right? And the insulin resistance also damages. Insulin resistance is the leading cause of this. It's a leading cause of high blood pressure worldwide, it's the only cause of high blood sugar. So it doesn't matter which of the three you have, they all three stem back to insulin resistance. Maybe you got blood pressure first and the blood pressure did put more pressure on the kidneys. The high blood sugar puts more damage to the kidneys, but all three are still caused by insulin resistance. So at the end of the day, I don't care what you're being told, you still have to fix insulin resistance and you'll get rid of all three. All three go away. All right. They share the same root cause. All right. I'm so glad that you guys are learning a whole bunch here. Now, you guys also asked for type 2 diabetes and pre-diabetes and borderline diabetes. Let me explain that. It'll be quick. It'll be easy. I'll make that one really short, and then we're going to go into solutions, how to fix all of this, okay? So going back to this side of the board really briefly, okay? We have the cells, and the cells are insulin resistant. They're no longer taking glucose.